Hey everyone, this is Ana and I am super excited to be here today sharing my project for the guest tutorial on Splitcoast Stampers. I decided to do a mini framed panel featuring some butterflies against a Christmas background. You can find a list of the supplies I used for this project in the comments section below. This frame comes in this beautiful brown color, but I wanted it white for this project, so I used white gesso and just applied it with a dry brush. And just a tip, if you use a brush for gesso, make sure you rinse it right away. That way it won't harden your bristles. I will be adding a few more colors to the frame, but in the meantime I will be working on the panel, so I just kind of set the frame aside so it can dry. And for the next step, I am adding the worn wallpaper to the panel, and for this I use double-sided tape instead of liquid glue just to avoid any kind of wrinkles on the background. If you don't have the worn wallpaper, you can use any type of cardstock that you want. I just like this one. It has a little bit of a texture to it, and I thought it would be great for this background. And to cut any excess, just flip the panel over and cut from behind. And now that my panel is ready, I am now going to die cut all the butterflies. I wanted to combine different textures and colors for the butterflies, so I cut in different types of paper. I used Neenah Solar White, this corrugated cardstock. I also cut in this gold glitter, and then finally in Neenah Vellum paper. And now that I cut all my butterflies, I go back to my frame and add the second and third color, which are sand and mineral. These are acrylic paints, and I just add a few spots here and there just to make it look more distressed. So now I'll go back to my butterflies, and I am pairing up two different colors of butterflies. And this die set comes in with two different sizes, small and large. So I choose the white and gold for one pair, and then the gold and the corrugated cardstock for the other pair. Here using a marker just to kind of give the butterfly that will go on top a little bit more dimension. And the next step, as you can see here, I'm distressing the white layer of the butterfly, and also the little body that will go on top, and also the corrugated paper for the top of the second butterfly. I am also going to stamp some berries on the two vellum butterflies, and I used this hybrid ink that works well on slick surfaces, and just kind of stamp the berries on different areas, and then heat set to make sure that the ink is dry. And I will flip them around and use a red color pencil to color from the back. That way when you flip it over, you still see some color, but you don't lose all the details of the stamp. And now I have all my butterflies ready, so I can start putting them together against the panel. And I will use a variety of different adhesives. I will start with some of the double-sided tape for the vellum butterflies, and also for the first layer of the butterfly, there's both the small and the large. And for the top layer of the butterfly, I will use a strip of the foam tape just to give it more dimension. And for the body of the butterfly, I used a liquid glue just to make sure it would adhere against the glitter background. And for the second set of butterflies, I make sure that I know where to position the butterfly within the frame. And once I have the spot where I want it, I adhere it with double-sided tape. Then the top layer, once again I use the foam tape, and then the liquid one for the little body of the butterfly. Then once again, I flip the frame over and just cut any excess of the butterflies. And for the sentiment, you can either stamp or use any stickers. In this case, I use these Christmas stickers. I placed it on Neenah cardstock and just cut little strips with it, which I will use to adhere to the panel and hide behind the butterflies. I wanted the sentiments to also be elevated, so I used some foam tape to adhere them to the background and tuck them right under the wings of the butterflies. You can also check the position of your frame prior to putting the sentiments. That way you make sure that they are not going to be on the way of the frame. If needed to, then you can always cut the strips a little bit shorter. And now that I have the butterflies and the sentiments where I want them to be, I'm ready to adhere the frame to the panel. For this, I'm using art glitter glue, but you can use any strong adhesive that you may have. In this case, since the part of the butterfly and one of the sentiments is in between the frame and the panel, it won't be perfectly flushed against it, but that's okay because I will be able to cover the gap with a ribbon, which you will see that step here coming soon. But of course, if you will prefer both the frame and the panel to be flushed against each other, then just make sure that you place your items inside the frame so you won't have that issue. And now I'm ready to add a little bit of bling to my butterflies. I am adhering some of these Mica Flakes to the body of the butterfly using some crystal glaze. And I also add a little bit of glaze to the small butterfly as well. And now that my frame is in place, I'm ready to also paint the edge of that back panel. I'm using the same white gesso that I used for the frame earlier. And that's the gap that I was telling you about earlier, which will not show once I add the ribbon around the frame. And after the frame is completely dry, then I went ahead and tied this sheer ribbon around the frame. I had to cut this ribbon in half because it was too wide, and I did like how it was kind of frayed on the edges. It kind of went with the distressed look of the frame. And I also tie a little knot on the top so I'm able to hang to the wall as well. And that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and that you give it a try. If you have any questions, please let me know.